Over the last few days, I've been watching a ton of the daily vlogs of famous YouTuber and filmmaker Casey Neistat, and a thought which kept coming into my head over and over again as I watched them was, man, he's crazy to do that with such an expensive camera. He'll take such huge risks with what he does with his nice cameras just to get these crazy shots. And then as I thought about that, I realized that the reason Casey can afford those nice cameras is because he's willing to do those things with those nice cameras. What makes a lot of Casey's vlogs so exciting and so impressive is the fact that he is going around New York on a motorized skateboard carrying a backpack full of cameras, holding a camera out in front of him and vlogging while weaving through traffic. It looks crazy and it looks super dangerous, but that's why I keep watching the vlogs, because that is entertaining. If he had a super nice camera and he wasn't doing anything that might possibly break it, it might not even turn any heads. And that's where we get this interesting paradigm of risk and reward. To some people, it might look like I'm someone who's willing to take fairly large risks. I've banked my entire career on being a YouTuber, an industry which is extremely unstable. I have no work benefits. I have to pay my taxes out of pocket. I have an employer who fucks with me all the time. YouTube, you know, they don't protect me or my interests at all. I have no boss that I can answer to when things go to hell. I just have to take care of all my business myself. It seems really risky, especially when I left my job back at Target to go and start doing this, you know, when I was making $10 a month, like that's how much I made when I left, because as soon as I saw any profitability from YouTube, I jumped on it. But I don't think that was a risky move. If anything, I think it was incredibly safe just because of the circumstances that I was living in at the time. I live at home with my parents, and I knew that I wasn't going to get kicked out immediately if I didn't have income at the time. I had not started paying rent yet, though I was about to, as soon as I launched my YouTube career. And I knew that, you know, there was a chance that I'd have a few months to fuck around and do whatever I wanted before I'd have to start, you know, answering to my parents about the fact that I was leaving the Target job. And I knew that if YouTube was successful, then I would make way more money than I'd been making at Target. And, you know, I have it in my head at least that in the future, if I need to get another job, it can only be so hard, because I know there's not a lot of jobs out there right now, but there's always a job. There's always something you can do. There's something. If it came down to it, if I had no other options but to take the shittiest job imaginable, then I would take that incredibly shitty job, and I'd do that for as long as I had to. But to me, the whole point of life is to always be doing the best possible thing you could be doing, the thing that will make you the most happy. And so trying to play it safe and stick with a job that I know is safe doesn't make any sense, because the whole point of having a normal job is that it allows me time to leave it, you know? Like, I went to Target, I went to work there so that I could make enough money to buy equipment for my YouTube videos so I could leave the job at Target. That was the whole goal. I got the job so I could leave the job. And to me, that's what every job is. It's get it and have it for as long as you have to, and then leave immediately to go do what you really want to do, unless your job is already what you really want to do. To me, one of the biggest risks out there is not taking any kind of risk, because if you don't take any risk, you don't get any reward. And having no reward is worse than losing something. Like, what's the point of even being alive if nothing I do is going to be rewarding? What the fuck would be the point of surviving and having like a job that just keeps me, you know, around if that life that I'm preserving is boring? You know, to me, the idea of living a life where I'm not doing exactly what I want to do, I might as well just kill myself, because there'd be no point in being alive at that point. I talked about this in a vlog that I didn't end up releasing, but the way I think about risk and reward when it comes to the long term is that you can't really predict how things are going to go, how things are going to turn out. So like, let's say I have $1,000 and I put it all in the bank. And if I play it safe, I never spend that money, or I spend very little of it. I try to keep it to a minimum. Well, over time, that money depreciates in value because, the economy, the inflation happens, the economy gets worse, or the bank might go out of business or something. Something might happen to my money that's in there, Like, on the one hand, it could build interest, but even if it does, if the money becomes less valuable, then it's pointless. And then having that money might not matter as much later on, because if I'm no longer young and able to go out and do things and enjoy, the money I have, if I get old and sedentary, then that money's not going to be worth as much to me at the time, Whereas if I spend that money now, while it's at its maximum value, both to me and to, to the economy, then I'll end up with more of the things I want and need. If I were to, say, spend 300 of that 1,000 on a new microphone that I might not even necessarily need, but having that new microphone allows me to increase my production quality just this much more, and that means my videos get this much more popular and I start making this much more money, then eventually I'm going to get that $300 back. So to me, I'm all about spend money to make money, spend it all the time. Don't spend absolutely everything, because I want to have something in case, say, I break my arm tomorrow and I have to pay medical bills out the ass, But, for me, it's all about measuring that and finding the midsection between, being reckless and being a coward. Because if you're a coward about, risk, then you'll never make it anywhere. Of course, it just so happened that while I was thinking about this, I ended up on a Casey Neistat vlog where he expresses many of the same sentiments.
I want to talk about risk. As a guiding principle, life shrinks and life expands in direct proportion to your willingness to assume risk.
I'll put a link to that video in the description with the time code of where he talks about it, because he actually talks about it for a little while, about how his whole life has been about taking risks and how he thinks that
the most dangerous thing you can do in your career, the most dangerous thing you can do in life, is play it safe.
Taking a risk, taking a plunge is always scary, because your survival instinct says, well, as long as I'm alive, that's what really matters. But I don't think humans are that easy to kill. I think we're easier to kill with random chance than we are by, fucking our lives up, I think it's possible to keep yourself alive in even the shittiest situation as long as you don't get killed somehow. And I think if I got killed while I was in a shitty situation, that would be pure misery. If I'm gonna get killed, but I do it when I'm in the height of glory, I think that'll be pretty fine. I won't have any regrets with my death, But the prospect of living a life where I don't constantly improve, where I'm not always happier than I was before, just doesn't make sense to me. I know a lot of people, some of them my age and a lot of them older, who regard their childhood as the best part of their life, or their teen years or their early adulthood, where things just kind of went downhill from there, where they whatever they did afterwards never lived up to it, because they stopped taking risks and they just settled. They settled for the life they have, which is not great. And to me, if I have a year that's not as good as the year before, I feel like I failed. That's the only thing I should be doing, is making every year even better than before. Whatever that takes is going to be worth it. Anything I can do to make that happen is going to be worth it, which is why I've done things like totally change the subject matter of my channel and burn away all of my subscribers, because it was worth it to be able to move into other things and be able to, do whatever kind of videos I wanted to do, whatever was going to make me happy. And I was confident that if I kept at it, I would build my channel back up. And I did, to about 3 times the size that it was before. The only way I would ever go back to a normal job is if I lost everything. if my channel got shut down, my patrons all, like, my channel getting shut down is not even that big a deal because I mostly get paid through Patreon. If Patreon shuts down, something bad happens to the website, which I could totally see happening because I don't think it's the the best run website in the world. But if that blanked out, I've still got YouTube ad revenue for at least a little while. If I lose both of them, then it's going to be a matter of how do I get into contact with enough of my fans to figure out, if any of them can still support me. And if not, then I have to start looking for new avenues outside of YouTube. Hopefully I can find some. And if everything fails until I go broke, then I'll think about getting another job. But I'm only going to get that job for long enough that I can save up enough money to leave and get right back to doing whatever the fuck I want to do.